Hello everyone, DJAZAIR weekly news and look at the national and international events. Here are the headlines. Details are to be discussed in a little while. President Tebboune gives priority to startups in national economic development, and Algeria is committed to sharing its experience with Africa. Army General Said Chengriha receives Chief of Staff of Tunisian Armed Forces Army. APM Board discusses annual program of National Defense Committee's activities. Algeria and Russia to hold naval drills in Mediterranean, and Putin appreciates the balanced process of Algeria's foreign policy. Zionist army surrounds Khan Yunis as southern Gaza attacks intensify, and Qatar Emir condemns genocide in Gaza, urges ceasefire at GCC summit. COP28 a rare chance in UAE for protests on Palestinians' climate action. A declaration of independence, how News Nation landed a Republican debate. And a hard-bloody winter awaits Ukraine and Russian soldiers, say experts. Death of press photographer Amin Sheikhi, and Lagab offers his condolences. Algeria Shabab al-Wazdad ready for Al Ahly despite absentees, and Mahrez confuses Belmadi's accounts before the African Cup. Welcome to the details. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, in an address to the African Startup Conference on Tuesday in Algiers, affirms his strong political will to develop innovation fields and boost startups. President, in the address read on his behalf by the Prime Minister Nadil Arbawi, said that startups represent a major challenge in the national priorities outlined in his ambitious program, aimed at accelerating the pace of economic development by mobilizing all necessary resources to organize this promising sector and accompany project leaders in different stages. The President of the Republic recalled the measures and initiatives taken in this regard, particularly the promotion of training in several domains relating to the startups activity. This includes the creation of specialized schools, as well as the establishment of communication bridges between training and research centers on one hand and the entrepreneurial world on the other hand. President of the People's National Assembly, APN, Brahim Boughali, chaired on Monday a meeting on the Assembly's board devoted to discussing the annual program of activities on the National Defense Committee, according to a statement issued by the lower house of Parliament. Army Said Chengriha, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, ANP, received on Wednesday at the headquarters of the ANP General Staff, Lieutenant General Mohammed El Ghoul, Chief of the Staff of the Army of the Tunisian Armed Forces, the Ministry of National Defense said in a statement. Algeria and Russia plan to hold joint naval exercises in the western part of the Mediterranean Sea, RIA Novosti reported on Tuesday, citing the Russian Black Sea Fleet. The Admiral Grigorovich frigate, which is part of the Mediterranean group, has already arrived in the port of Algiers to take part in the maneuvers, the state-run news service said Tuesday. It didn't disclose the precise date of the drills. Russia-Algerian commercial and economic cooperation is developing at a good pace. The volume of commercial exchanges between the two countries has exceeded $2 billion USD. Algeria will occupy a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for the period 2024-2025. And in Gaza file, we see the Zionist entity is intensifying its attacks in and around Gaza's second largest city, as the United Nations expects 1 million to flee to Rafah in the coming days. Forces are surrounding the city of Khan Yunis, Zionist's top military commander has said, as the ground offensive spreads to the south of the Gaza Strip. 60 days after the war began, our forces are now encircling the Khan Yunis area in the southern Gaza Strip, said Lieutenant General Herzi Helvey, the Zionist Army's Chief of General Staff, on Tuesday. After the week-long truce expired, the Zionist military ordered the evacuation of Palestinians from southern Gaza. Families in Khan Younis were packing up again and heading further south to Rafah, a town on the Egyptian border. The tight pocket of land was already crammed with people coming out in the open and lacking basic services including water and sanitation. The Zionist occupation forces have laid siege to the facility from all sides. Patients and those who took shelter here are gripped with fear and overwhelmed by horror. He said the Zionist forces are attacking with the aim of forcibly removing all those inside the hospital. These are patients, victims, and displaced civilians. WHO recorded 203 attacks on healthcare facilities from October 7th to November 28th, a number it described as unprecedented. More than 100 protesters gathered on Sunday on the sidelines of the COP28 UN Climate Summit to call for a ceasefire in Gaza.
I'd like you to use your hand today and say, I stand in solidarity. I stand in solidarity. There is no climate justice. No human rights. No climate justice. No human rights. No climate justice. No human rights.
To now understand what's going on in the world around us. Because even though we have all of these discussions,
colonialism, it's a long story of armament. It's a long story of inequality. And
because we have seen the mass that have slipped. We have seen how the Palestinians are not even viewed as human beings.
Khalil Sami Zakaria Al-Fasih, 24 years old. Saddam, 21 years old. Noor Ibrahim Muhammad
Ahmed Amir, 4 years old. Muhammad Ahmed Isa Nashar.
White nation that has also killed these children, these women and men who are civilians. We must stand with the oppressed as we stand for our environment.
because white phosphorus weapons are being shelled on people.
Indigenous peoples in Australia, we have to remember our history. Apartheid actually came from Australia, from the white Australian policy. And so when we are seeing people being killed, dispossessed of land, it hurts to see that same thing happening to other people.
– 23 years old. Kareem Riyad Hamdan Al-Sha'ir, 23 years old.
Journalists and even UN staff killed 18,000 people. Human rights.
The Emir accused the Zionist entity of committing a genocide in Gaza, noting that the crimes of Zionist forces help deepen the sentiment of injustice, while international legitimacy is completely absent. Experts say the choice of NewsNation as host for the latest Republican debate signals a fractured U.S. media landscape. Only 6 weeks remain before Republican presidential hopefuls face the first major test of the United States primary season. A victory in the state could set the tone for the rest of the race. This winter is likely to see a long and bloody stalemate in Ukraine, with neither side backing down from offensive and counteroffensives, but may sow the seed of negotiations next year. Minister of Communication Mohammed Al-Agab extended his sincere condolences to the family of the press photographer Amin Sheikhi, who died Monday at the age of 51. Peace be upon him. Algeria's Shabab Al-Wuzdad is eyeing a win in the anticipated African Champions League game against Egypt's Al-Ahli despite the team's several absentees, coach Marcus Paqueta said. The Cairo Giants are due to host their Algerian counterparts on Friday at the Alexandria's Burj Al Arab Stadium in the third round of the African Champions League group stage. Important to remember, the Al-Wuzdad defeated Young African 3-0 at home in the group stage opener, but lost 2-1 in the second game away against Media. And according to press resource, Algerian Riyad Mahrez is on his way to export the first crisis to national voter Jamel Belmadi before players gather at Sidi Moussa Center in the capital, where the Desert Warriors team will start the preparatory camp for the 2023 African Nation Championship to be organized by Côte d'Ivoire mid-next month. We wrap up by these pictures showing the Tunisian President Kais Saied sharing blissful moments with injured Palestinians who were admitted to Tunisian hospitals last Monday. The Tunisian presidency said that they would receive necessary treatment and return in good health to their homeland. That's all for today. Thank you for following and supporting us. I wish you a pleasant and relaxing weekend. Goodbye.